Hello and welcome to the Zach Thinks Your podcast. I wanted to share this episode a little bit differently than normal. I run the Fair Play 101 cohorts usually 3 to 4 times a year. And this cohort started in October that I recently did and just ended in January. And this was session 10. So it was a mixture of, I think a lot of people were sick. It was on a holiday and or there were some miscommunications. But no, I'm not stopping because you. Hello and welcome to the Zach Thinks Your podcast. This is a different audio experience than just about all of the other videos or podcast episodes you've heard before. I run a Fair Play 101 cohort, and this is one of those cohort sessions. So there's 10 sessions. This cohort just usually starts somewhere over 10 folks, and then as time goes on, they stop either showing up, and especially if it's on like a holiday, which our final session was on. There were a few people left. This ended up being a very intimate conversation between mostly two people, and then one of the other people shared. I got their permission to share this episode because I felt like it was, I know that in 90-second clips on Instagram, there's only so much I can accomplish with people in changing their minds or helping them see the in-depth conversations and the coaching that they really need. And I was just really impressed and proud of the work that they did in this cohort. So this episode here is going to be, it's me and 3 other folks, mostly 2 of them going back and forth, talking through some challenges, sharing a little bit about where things have come since October, the differences in how they're communicating and how they're improving on things. And I was just really grateful that they were okay with me publishing it for public consumption. Really great work I thought they did here. They're very coachable. And I think a lot of great things happened in this session along the way. So here it is. This is session 10 of Fair Play 101, where we get to review things, and I hope you enjoy. I hope it gives you a flavor of what some of my coaching looks like, and how I tend to dig in a certain way with people.
Hello.
Hello.
I have a suspicion
Yeah,
it could be just the 3 of us.
right. Because of the weather.
Mixture of the weather, last week me calling out sick and then sending out one more invite, and I think us 3 were the only ones that accepted the invite. So I've also heard recently that some of my regular like Gmails are ending up in spam, so small potential also that no one got any of those.
Yeah.
But here we are. So we'll go through it. And just be prepared. It could be a very intimate session between the 3 of us today.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll just kind of I'll still be putting out the recording, so we'll treat it like a kind of a normal classroom. And know that, it can be shared with the other people that missed session 10.
Yeah.
So let's see, session 10 agenda. Homework due was to reflect on how far you've come, where you've left off on, and where things are today that they might not have been a couple months ago. Sharing how your boring meetings went this past week, committing to unicorn space for you both, and how will you keep Fair Play relevant and fresh? Because I know that the long-term challenge of keeping it alive is, I think, the biggest challenge. And so I've tried to set you guys up with the best resources and skills to keep that going without a bunch of external help in me getting paid forever more to help people stay accountable. So how did the boring meeting go this past week? We'll go first. Is that we did not have ours, I think mostly due to sickness. We were very much in survival mode and didn't want to add anything else to our plate. I may be coughing throughout. I would say the main ones were the main things that I did put down an agenda, because I recognize that board meetings typically don't happen when I don't make an agenda. but I did make a short agenda, and the main one was following up on a bunch of the tasks and to-dos that we'd created for ourselves the prior week. And one of the main ones being that we really wanted to triple down on making sure that the nighttime routine for Everly and going down for bath and bedtime, given that she's now in her own room, and it's the first time she's been in her own room since 15 months ago, that we wanted to make sure that we felt really good about those things, especially with the other changes coming up in the near future. So that was the main thing I wanted to follow up on. And I think each night I've kind of checked in with Alyssa about how that's being executed. And I think with that in itself, just keeping to the nighttime routine that we had through the sickness, I think was the big win for us. And another reminder that we are in phase 3 of implementing the boring meetings. So ideally, we've had our 51% activity, but we're implementing standard operating procedures and minimum standards of care. We've practiced the emotion wheel. We have some level of momentum and standard practices for how we go about it. And so that's the stage that we're in, is looking at long term, how do we implement this? What does our long-term roadmap and game plan look like, and how do we continue to do that? All right. I would say, who wants to go
Would
next?
like to go next. Hang on, I'm on mute.
No, you're
No,
not.
I could hear you.
Oh, I'm not. Okay, good. Well, let me see. I can summarize it by just sharing with you the latest version of our template. So why don't I go ahead and do that, if I may?
Let me ask a more pointed question first. Is how did the emotion wheel go? And did it feel like, I feel like at this stage we have meetings that add momentum, and we're like, oh, that was great. That was helpful. Let's do this again next week. I'm glad we did this. And then
Yeah.
there's some meetings that are like, well, that we accomplished a whole lot. Like we just kind of argued or we disagreed on stuff, and it leaves us with a slightly sour taste in our mouth. So did it add momentum or did it subtract momentum?
The core emotion wheel adds momentum, right? If that's
Well, that along with, like, in general, the meeting that you hosted, did it add or subtract momentum for the future meetings? Not just the wheel aspect of it, but the whole meeting.
I think it's shining light on some new areas for us as a long-term couple. Areas such as, we're doing that. We're kind of stepping through the 51%, ownership of a minimum care standard, and it's kind of interesting to dig into what's underneath and what's so about those. You can make them detailed. You don't have to, right? But that's kind of number one. I think number two, we're not very practiced on the wheel. We only do the wheel before the meeting. Doing the wheel, I think it opens up the door. It takes the guard down a little bit, and it enables us to have a conversation to get complete with some areas that may have upset us or that are on our mind. The last wheel we did wasn't really too directed at each of us individually, although I'll use the term complain a little bit about some hurt feelings and some emotions that I experienced, during the week prior to last.
Was it a complaint or was it you sharing vulnerably?
It was sharing an emotion that comes up under certain circumstances, and so I did that.
One encouragement is identifying the difference for yourself between complaint and sharing vulnerably. I would say for me, I know it's a complaint when I'm not taking some level of accountability for expressing the emotion. If, for example, this morning, Alyssa and I had a pretty good discussion. We were folding laundry. She gave me multiple critiques on how I was doing things. Didn't love that. And I said, I'm feeling hurt. I'm feeling anger, that it feels like we're making adjustments and like adding things that historically I don't feel like the way that we've done things. And I stopped there. I just kind of left it at that. And then she came back and said, like, this is a pain experience for me too, because the amount of effort that it's taken for me to not have folded, wrinkled clothes, and then for you to come in and fold them in a way that wrinkles them, it's like I might as well not have done the laundry in the first place. And I was able to hear that, and I was glad that she shared it. If I were complaining, I think the way it would have sounded would have been just agreeing with her choice to give me critiques in the first place.
Yeah.
If I had said, you know what, I don't need to hear this feedback. Like I'm doing a good job, or like as being a disagreement about what she's even communicating in the first place, or I don't, I don't like when you do that, or this is not helping things. I think if it stays logistical, it's a complaint. If if one of those 8 emotions is within the sentence, I'm probably on the right track.
Yeah, I think I'm tracking. I mean, this circumstance was an emotion that comes up, and I'll just be pointed, right? The hurt emotion occurred when I'm critiqued, not by one person, but by 2 at the same time. So it comes out as, hey, stop picking on me, right? I mean, I'm not perfect. Quit picking on me, right? And so that was the emotion, right? It's their complaint about a way of being that I have.
About a way of being that you have. Okay.
My way of being arises with some set of comment or, hey, when you do this, this is what's so about it. You should stop doing that. Or, hey, you know, you talk too much, be quiet, or you think out loud. You should keep all those thoughts in your mind. Little stuff like that. We can call it little stuff, but it adds up.
Yep. So I mean, those comments right there, I can hear some emotions underneath those. So those comments sound definitely very logistical. I would encourage Lynn, I'm assuming you might have been saying those things. I would highly encourage attaching some emotions to those, saying what's there for you around the way that he communicates, rather than just encouraging him to change. I think also, one, he's not going to change, but more importantly, he probably is less like, when I say that, I'm not saying he's not capable of it. I'm saying that if he doesn't understand the emotional experience that you're having, I think he's much less likely. Me folding laundry this morning, felt I was very angry, hurt, etc., even lonely. The moment that I realized, because she said, this is a pain experience for me because you're not seeing wrinkles the way that I see wrinkles, then I was able to understand. But if she hadn't explained the emotional piece to it, it would have just came out as like, well, I'm going to keep doing things the way that I've been doing because they get the job done. And she was pointing out, I have a pain experience when you're actually not getting the job done, which is to keep things also less wrinkly.
So let me play back a couple things.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting observation that my behavior eliciting comments, not from one person, 2 people, and then both of them at the same time, there's something there for them to have that reaction. Now, maybe I am a douche or a pain in the ass, who knows, however you want to describe it, right? I don't know, right? And so maybe some of those reactions or comments or behaviors are justified, and I have to clean up my act. But that being said, for me, the practice would be, okay, wait, time out. What's there for you? Because what causes you to go there with that? What's there for
Yeah.
you? Right? Not that I'm deflecting it back to them, but for that upset to occur, something stirred it up.
Yeah.
I
think furthermore, again, paralleling to me and laundry this morning was, it would have, if I was on my A+ game, is if I had heard Alyssa critiquing me. I think there was like 3 critiques in less than 4 minutes.
Yeah.
If I'm on my A game, I can pause instead of going internally and being like, I feel hurt, I feel angry. Me saying, hey, what's happening for you right now? And being able to acknowledge she's not critiquing me this way with, there's probably a slight tone to it that I didn't love. She's not critiquing me this way if she's not having an emotional experience too. So yeah, I would say if you're on your A game, and if that top skill you're working on is pausing and considering, I acknowledge they're critiquing me, but there's clearly something going on over there with them. Like, let's find out. I think that the B game is like, acknowledge, but that's your A. Your B game is, well, I'm taking a lot of feedback right now and I'm feeling X, Y, and Z core emotions. And then saying, what is happening for you guys? D game is probably you just saying your emotions and then not necessarily offering space for someone else to share. The D game is probably the typical way that it plays out, which is no emotions are talked about. Everyone leaves that experience feeling invalidated.
Very interesting. What's the A? Probably that's where we go all the time. What's the A game?
A is probably catching their comments as realizing that they're having emotions that they
Okay,
could
yeah.
be sharing and inviting them to share, and being able to like not even have to go into yourself because you're able to go over there with them first.
See, we've done enough of the wheel, and we understand it enough that in the course of it's kind of funny. Maybe that's it, Lynn, right? My comment to Lynn would be, hey, I'm just going to share emotions, when they come up. I'm just going to blurt them out, when something comes up. And what's your response, Lynn? Well, you can do that in your head. You don't have to say them out loud. Go find them first.
Whoa,
That's what you
I
say.
don't want, I think what I say is you can practice more than just with someone else. You can practice with yourself as well. You don't have to wait to practice till someone else is around to find, the check engine light for whatever it is.
But
You can
maybe
practice.
the way I should have probably reworded that was, hey, I want to start practicing my emotions with you. Every time a check engine light comes on, I'm going to check in with you. I could have said it that way.
Good. Yeah. Okay. What's there for me is I hear you don't want to do your own homework first and you want to practice with me. So I have to help you train.
Are you the master?
No, but why can't you at least practice a little?
Well, I can. I
I
can
don't
do
know.
that.
I feel like
She's asking you like Forrest Gump, like, can you play ping pong against the wall with yourself? Or like, is it a requirement to have a partner to play against?
I beat myself at pool all the time.
well, to find them in there,
Right.
you gotta start looking for them. Sure, you can share, but you gotta be, practiced and working on becoming an expert at finding them almost immediately. Oh, that's hurt, hidden by anger.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
And
Followed by loneliness. Okay.
yeah, I guess my invitation slash question to you is, what is your experience? What's happening for you when he is doing the homework with you, and it, like, is there a moment, is there a tone, what is it that's giving you the experience that he's not doing his homework on his own? And or like, I'm here, obviously, it takes emotional labor to listen to somebody and hear them out. What's that say more about your experience there?
well, he prefaces it by, as soon as I feel it, I'm going to say it. And that has me feel like he's not doing any self-reflection before he says it. Like it's going to get worked out in the airspace. He's going to think out loud to figure it out. And I have to be part of that thinking out loud. He can still come to me and share it, but it would be nice to work on it a little
Hear
first
the filtered version.
instead of having to sift through it and figure out what's under there. I don't know.
Yeah, the other thing I'm hearing is, Greg, I'm surprised I haven't said this before. I think you might be similar to me in that you're probably a verbal processor, as you got to hear yourself talk, kind of. I learned
Absolutely.
it took a couple hundred YouTube videos for me to realize that I did that, was that I would make the video and it would take 15 minutes. And then once I was done with the video, I'd be like, oh, that's what I was trying to say. And then I would scrap the whole thing, and then I would make the last version, would only take me 4 minutes. But it took so much speaking out loud to try to articulate what I thought I was trying to say for me to actually like figure it out. And it took me listening to myself a stupid amount of hours, cringing, hearing my own voice, but realizing that like I needed to actually auditorially hear things. So maybe the other thing here is, I I know there's been some, it's not as bad when I'm listening to a playback of a video I was trying to make, but talking to myself, there's some shame in considering talking to myself. And it occurs to me that if you're saying, well, if I process it with a person, that's not weird, but talking to myself, there's some emotions about that. And you're an auditory processor.
That's the way it is. That's the way it's been for me in my career. That was the success of my career. I mean, I ran many meetings, highly technical meetings that were all basic process and logic discussions. We dug
Yeah.
into the depths of what was so about stuff, and
And people got really used to
we
accepting that Greg was going to talk
and
out
he's going to
loud
talk
to
it out.
figure some things out.
That's right. And it was
And it
very
sounds,
clear when we did all of our typing with people on the teams. There's some of the brightest people, the ones that took
all
everything
right,
in.
hold on, pause. You're literally doing it right now. I love
Yeah.
you for it.
Okay, go ahead.
Lynn, let's come back for a second. Give me an emotional answer, not a logistical one, to what's happening for you when he does that.
Hurt. All that comes to mind is that he's gonna like fill the space with all of this, and I'm gonna have to sort through it. I don't know. And the key thing you said too, just a second, like just he mentioned for the work parts that it was all logistics. Well, this we're talking about emotions now. This is
Right.
not practiced. This is not a, you know,
Say more about the hurt.
when he
Hurt
just,
that.
it hurts that it hurts that it feels like he's unwilling to do his own inner exploration, whether it's out loud to himself or however it works. But you know, I don't know. I'd like the more polished version when he comes to me.
I hear something else in there that I'm betting is maybe a little scary for you to say out loud. I could probably say it for you, but I would love to see if you can come up with it.
I feel guilt that I don't want to listen.
Okay.
So I'm looking at shame. I feel shame.
I mean, I still think it's hurt or sad or lonely, but it's like a slightly different angle of the first thing that you had said about how it doesn't feel like he's willing to like kind of process things on his own and give you the refined version.
Check engine light's not working. I don't, it's like I almost need the wheel in front of me. They're going blank right now. They don't want to be found.
Hold on.
Yeah.
It shall be found.
So this is interesting. Let me just make a comment. Remember Joe Hateman, one of the best technicians that ever worked on my team. He was the kind of guy that after it was all said and done, after all the dialogue occurred, he would open his mouth and he would give his viewpoint and opinion on how it would go. And it was always like, that's it. That's what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. You're the engineer at work. You're the process engineer at Hadco, at whatever companies you worked at, where you were Joe. You're Joe.
I'm Lynn.
I know you're Lynn, but
She's the one that comes up with the polished point at the end rather than the person that she did
It's
the
like
processing to
I
get
don't
the
want to
flow.
internally,
I don't want to, oh, toxic time message. I want to waste your time or anybody's time, waste their time with an unpolished or at least unlooked at version. Like, can I at least be productive for the group with some thought having been put into this? I don't know, something about.
Yeah,
Anyway.
that's pretty much that's what I was looking for you to say, and I'm gonna polish that one for you a little bit. I think it's hurt that it feels like his time is not worth polishing his own emotions and like figuring out what it is, but it is worth both of your time together. And
Yeah.
it feels like it
Perfect.
hurts that he's unwilling to do some of that emotional labor of describing, acknowledging, like figuring out what that is for himself. Does that sound right?
Yep. It's like, can you do your homework yourself first?
perfect.
I don't know. I don't know.
This is what I'm going to offer, and I don't want you to take this as fact, but like a place to inquire. And this is from, working with doing a couple hundred emotion wheels over the last couple of years with a bunch of guys, is that I think a lot of us, and I think Mariana on here can probably attest to a piece of this, is that a lot of us guys have not been encouraged in many ways throughout our lives to talk about emotions. And so sometimes having some safe space, having someone that we trust to hear us out and talk it through is insanely helpful for us to practice this skill. For sure, we can be doing it on our own. And I know for some that might be more hardened in like, I'm not supposed to feel these kind of emotions, that having someone be there to validate, to it's like scaffolding. Like my students, when they were learning algebra 1 and they needed to like count out on their fingers and like say out their multiplication facts out loud, like I need to be there for them to say it out loud, because it would be really embarrassing if they were doing it out loud to themselves within the rest of the class. But if the teacher's right there to be with them, that's a safe space that they can use their own scaffolding. It's a different experience for them. Now, I'm not saying Greg is or isn't, and there's an invitation to consider that there could be he's somewhere on that spectrum of potentially having a ton more value added up front with you being able to listen out. So again, I'm not
Yeah.
you are entitled to your hurt. I don't want to take that. I don't want to invalidate that. And I know that it was really helpful also for Alyssa to hear out those things. It took a good while for me and Alyssa to find a good cadence with being able to share emotions. I think she also felt burdened very often with hearing probably a little bit of the same here, but I think she also saw the value that it was creating slowly. So
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think,
know if it's the chicken or the egg here and what's going to help of him doing it on his own first or you helping him a
what,
little bit more with it. But
well, I
go ahead.
think what you're pointing out about the complaint versus sharing vulnerably, that it's just disagreeing versus saying one of the 8 emotions. And I think for decades, we've had a pattern of just disagreeing. So it's normal to complain. And so at least, sure, practice sharing and try real hard not to have it be sharing vulnerably and not complaining.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I've noted, so in our agenda for our team huddle, we do the core motion wheel, and then we get into key discussion points, which the first 7 of them are the beginner template, if you will. And one of those is what's one of the not recent fun conversations that we've had. So I've been noting those. And then what's the conversation that could be had to decrease the likelihood of that conversation? And what can I take accountability for? And the theme that we're on is, right, summary here, considering other spaces, considering other space, right? Considering who is in, right, in that space, right? Listen, let words and comments land, stop, pause, reset, practice the pause, right? Practicing the pause. So kind of along the same line here, Lynn, that we're talking about.
So I'm going to pause there. Thank you both for sharing and letting me dig in on those things. I'm going to jump over to you, Mariana, if you can. Did a boring meeting happen this past week?
Yes.
Good.
Yes. It did not happen in the whole that I would have hoped, but very happy that like we did meet at the time that we had said. And there has been such a huge shift for both of us, but especially Tim, and seeing that like for the well-being of our relationship and the functioning of our family as a company, right? Like hinges on him being able to sacrifice some sleep time at night, because like for us that's kind of the only time that works. So like he finally sees the value and understands. He's shoveling my mom's car out right now so she can go to work. So I wish he was here, but so that you can hear from him, because I'm really proud of him. But anyway, yeah, we did have our boring meeting. It was very much creating emotional safety, less logistics, or getting on the same page and establishing our values as a family. We did break out the deck in the last week of this cohort.
Yeah.
We did it. So we went to like our local restaurant. The kids were with my mom, and we like sat and had a couple of drinks and like went through the deck, and it was really cathartic. And he was just like, I had him divvy out, like we personalized it, and then he divvied
Real
out
quick,
himself.
did you have him or did he do it himself?
It was no. It was the 2 of us together, but he was the
Okay.
one in front of me. I was like, I wanted him to, from his perspective, see what he thinks. And he was totally spot on. He wasn't like claiming cards that are actually majority
Right.
me. He totally understands CPE. And even with cards where I'm like, I feel like you have the bulk of that, but he was like, no, I have the E. And I was like, oh, you're so right.
That's awesome.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, it was like it was just super bonding and cathartic for us, and like he really is really starting to get it. And so like my deck was fat and I was like, it's okay, you get the point. I kind of was like feeling guilt, I don't know, and
Yeah.
he was like, no, let's finish this.
Can you say what the final numbers were?
Oh my
Final
god, I
stack
didn't
was?
even count them. I think he had 5. I think maybe like 5
over. Do you know
cards.
how many you guys tossed?
We tossed a good bit. God, I didn't, we didn't count them. I was like, okay, I'm done. I actually, yeah, so I didn't count them, but it was super illuminating for me because there were a ton of uncomfortable emotions that came up for me while we were doing this. And totally from me, not from him. He was neutral and even just like loving and present and understanding and validating all of it. And I was getting uncomfortable with the feelings that were arising. So I was like, okay, we can stop this. Like I could tell I was wanting to like wrap it up.
Can you share? I got the emotion wheel up. Can you identify some of those?
Definitely. Fear of like the amount of work that it's going to take in breaking each of these cards down. I was just like, my God, I can't do this. And shame and guilt and feeling like I didn't want to break down the cards. Like I was getting overwhelmed looking at them all, and not even just breaking down the MSC or this CPE. And I was like talking about, like, yeah, these are the next steps. And then my brain was started panicking, like getting overwhelmed. Like, this is so much work. This is so much work. I can't do this. And like, also it dug up shame around how I have a standard in my mind of how I want it to go, the MSC, and I'm not meeting that standard. And I'm like, got like the shame was palpable for me. So it was just so fascinating. I was just like noticing it all come up and like trying really hard not to judge it, but it was so valuable, just the amount of like emotional clarity I got for just myself. So yeah, a lot of work to do.
Yeah. Well, one, thank you for sharing, and I'm proud of you guys for doing the work.
Yeah.
I know that one of the values in it is being able to identify, and I constantly encourage people on the 51% activity to really have it be an attempt at a short exercise, because it can be both tempting and overwhelming to look at all of them and be like, let's create a standard of care for an insane amount of them, or all the daily grind cards or something. So being committed to just identifying who owns 51% and kind of stopping there, to create a roadmap of what are the things that he owns 51% of, how do we get him to own the full 100 that's not just execution. That's really the goal that I have for people out of it. I'm grateful that we dodged that, because I think it was our like 7th or 8th anniversary. We went out and Greg and Lynn babysat for a bit, and we went to our local brewery, and I think we sat down for maybe 2 or 3 hours to do it. And I remember all we did was we identified where they lay, and then chose to create some standards of care around.
Yes. So I definitely followed that of just like all we're doing is seeing who has what now roughly, and then we picked one card just to start contemplating, not even to like break down. We figured that like planning dinners is kind of out of all the daily grind ones, like the one that we can figure out right now, that like a lot of other stuff hinges on. So thinking about the CPE of that one is kind of where we're starting. So it's good.
Yeah, that's a fantastic one to do. I know last year I think we spent 7 or 8 weeks just on like nighttime week. I think it was all 7 days a week, nighttime meal planning.
Right. It's big. There's so much involved. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, and I know Alyssa was both really painfully patient with me, and that I had never done that before. I had never planned more than probably 2 or 3 days, never mind a full 7, and with some level of thought that we're going to have ingredients to make things healthy. And we're trying to follow the glucose revolution plan. as well as have it be interesting enough. Like me personally, I could probably eat 2 meals a week and be okay with that. That does not work for Alyssa. She needs more varieties.
Yeah, that's Tim. He doesn't eat leftovers most of the time. It's just like comical, but yeah, we're different. But yeah, it's a big one and one that will help quality of life so much. We'll feel Daddy's digging out Abuela's car in the snow. Okay. You want to go see him outside? Abuela can take you outside, okay? It's just all ice. It's insane. But I wanted to, if I can, speak to what you guys were talking about, because I would love to share my perspective in my context of our relationship and the similarities, because it just felt really good hearing you guys speak about this, and I'm grateful for your vulnerability, truly, and it's super inspiring. But yeah, it's like Tim, I hit a wall of resentment around exactly that, of just like, how come you are not like, how come you need me to be pushing the bike, like you on the little tricycle, like you need me pushing you? And I was like, I don't know, feeling a buildup of frustration around that. And through lots of deep conversations, it was like, okay, this is temporary. I'm your temporary training wheels, as Zach pointed out. Like, you've been conditioned to be totally shut off. And especially Tim, who, like, at least Greg, like, you are very used to sharing and very used to speaking. Tim's like the opposite and will just be completely silent. And I'm just like, dude, what? Like, can't you put in a little brain power and to share a thought, even if speak the logical, whatever he doesn't know how. So he is training with me and also is going to have to be doing it on his own. But it's like, he doesn't even have the tools or language to do it on his own yet. So it's like, I came to a point of like peace, understanding this is temporary for the amount of emotional labor I am doing. Like, we hit a breaking point where I'm like, I'm doing all the emotional labor and I'm fucking done. Like, I'm done, dude. And so he totally gets it. And it's like, I'm working on it. And yeah, it's just still hard because yeah, it's like I'm holding his hand, and hopefully soon he will be pedaling on his own and will take the training wheels off. And yeah, so just wanted to speak to that a little bit. It's really hard, but also so hard on him because like he even understands like what damage it's done for him, and that he has him not being able to share not just his emotional life, but also his like preferences and insights and ideas. It's like he has been conditioned to just be silent. And so it's really, really, really hard for him. So I'm like, okay, bringing more patience online, thankfully, because he is putting in the action steps to show me, because there have been enough explosions from me of just like, apologies don't do shit, dude. Empty words. You saying sorry is totally hot air in the room, nothing. And so he's getting it. And yeah, so it's improving. I'm being more patient, and yeah, we're both giving each other more grace. It feels good. So we both talked about it today. We're going to join the next cohort and be able to put in input the next time around. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yay.
Thanks for sharing that with us.
Yeah. I really wish he could, because he's so amazing. There's this massive awakening happening for him, and it's really because we joined this and he was able to hear it from people who are not me, because we talk about this a lot, that like when I start criticizing or critiquing, I become his mother to his subconscious. So he goes into protect. And he's like, I'm just going to shut down, because that was his survival mechanism as a kid. It was like, I'm being hurt right now. I'm being invalidated and threatened. So I'm just going to put the walls up. So yeah, it's like we're working on that programming. When I put a mirror up to him, and I'm like, oh, it's happening, the programming, and it's we're getting there. We're doing a lot better.
Which that's a pretty great segue for a second into I'm going to skip around slides a little bit here. Is where are things now compared to 3 months ago in the work that you all have put in? So looking back
Mhm.
on 3 months ago, or even 4 months ago,
Oh my
what
God.
were things like, and what do things look like now? And Marina, while you're on it, I'll
Hmm.
have you keep going.
Yeah. I would love him to share too. But maybe I don't know if you're doing office hours at 2:30. Okay, cool. So, oh my God, I mean, not to like put it all on him because both of us have grown tremendously in these past 3 months, but totally different. I mean, the the understanding more of where the other person is coming from through speaking our emotional truths in a neutral way, right? Like I mentioned, like the key is non-judgment of what I'm sharing from myself in my inner world and non-judgment of what I'm getting from him, because so quickly the mind wants to judge, like, that's a scary thing you just said, or that I'm getting defensive. It's just all the judgment. So it's just like neutral listening, which has been really hard for me at times, especially when Tim was very vulnerably sharing about his perspective around sex. And it was like the programming, the male patriarchal like programming coming through. And fear came up for me and I was like, it's okay, stay neutral. You're good. Like just listen and validate. So that has been tremendous growth for both of us. And like Tim really beautifully said in one of our kind of like intimate moments, just talking about all this stuff, he was like, the key is really to not choose hate. I was like, yes, yes, that's been a game changer. It's like, really, even when we're in the thick of the resentment, in the thick of the like blame game, we can choose love. We can choose to say, I love that about you instead of like, I hate that about you. And it was like so simple. And it's simple, but it's not easy. And thankfully, we both have such an abundance of love and respect for each other that we were able to like pull from that well of love after hashing out all the shit. So, like, the sludge comes out, and Tim is learning that he cannot just spout things out because his words have an impact. So that's been a change too, where he does kind of have to polish or at least filter a little bit, because he would say like, I just need to speak my truth because otherwise I won't, which is understandable because he's like, I've been conditioned not to speak. So when I am ready to speak, the issue it becomes a fire hose of like snark and sarcasm and like frustration. And so I'm like, how it comes out is everything. So that has been a big change. He's just like way more aware of, you know, the emotions, like the colors. The analogy that I think of, especially after having kids, is like you're working with a Crayola box of like 3 colors. And then you start doing this work and you learn that there's like 25 colors. And you're like, oh my God, I have access to all these colors, these different emotions, these feelings, these experiences. Then you have children. And it's actually 875,000 colors. So you're just like, all of these new fucking feelings coming online, for better or worse, right? Like the rage, like the mom rage that I didn't even know existed within me is a color, unfortunately, but it's there. Anyway, so we've been talking about that, how it's like your color box is expanding and it's uncomfortable, it's scary, it's unknown, it's unnerving, it's unsettling, and yet thrilling because it unlocks these new depths of connection between the two of us. And thank God, like he gets it. Thank God. Like it's why I married him. He is so in touch, like you've pointed out with him. He is so, you're like, I'm gonna challenge. I think you do know what you're feeling. It's just there's fear around communicating it, which is so it's just spot on. So, oh my God, my baby is eating the dog treats in front of me. I know it. I'm sorry. Hilarious. I had no idea. He was just helping himself to this bag. But yeah, that so much has shifted and it's amazing.
Wow.
Just want to acknowledge you for, it sounds like you and Tim have a very matured relationship.
Yeah.
It really
You're
does.
gonna make me cry.
It really does.
Yeah. It feels that way. And then both of us come from divorced parents who like hate each other. And so we're like, this isn't real. When's the shoe gonna drop? Like, when are we gonna start hating each other? And it's just like, no, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you for sharing, Mariana.
Thank you for holding space. It's nice to, and again, I wish he could share because like yeah. 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 All right, mister.
Hey there, buddy.
My little mini me.
Hi.
Did he get your car out? Yeah. Okay, good.
Lynn and Greg, who would like to share how, if you had to compare yourself to 3 months ago? I know originally around this time last year, maybe March, you started practicing some connection codes, emotion work with Alyssa.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
then we're like, okay. And then the next step is we probably need to implement some fair play if we want to improve on some things. And we
Yeah.
started in October. How are we compared to October? Either of you can go first.
I'll go first. I had to flip to the front of my notebook to even remember where I was at in October, because it changes and you change with it and then you forget your old ways. But I mean, the do better loop was probably all we had, a blow up, I'll do better, and then you think everything's good and things start to slide again. And there's like this repeating pattern that I'm be like, yep, we're doing the same one. It's the same conversation.
Mhm.
Here it is. So I haven't felt like we're having the same conversation over and over like 3 months ago or years before.
Yeah.
I definitely have noticed appreciation for not having to do, I don't know, around 3 or 4 o'clock, start to figure out what the heck is for dinner tonight, because we split up the week. So that's nice. And he's entirely taken on dishes. So I don't have I have more time on my hands. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes I'm like, I got to create some new things to do, but it's also, you can spend the whole morning doing the kitchen, the trash, the inside trash, recycles, all the little maintenance things. You go around the house and from room to room, and it can take all morning. I don't have to do that like I used to. So that part's different. I do appreciate having the MSCs. That's giving me more patience around certain things. And I do know that our not fun conversations are most likely around one of the things that has no MSC yet. And, the expectations are mismatched. Like when you open the fireplace, what does and doesn't happen. Piper and my son and I have had chest cold for going on a month. And so anything that affects the respiratory system, we're just super sensitive.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
So if I were to summarize, it sounds like logistically, time-wise, you have more time on your hands for the change in duties that you guys have split up.
Right.
I'm hearing the mental load that is a real heavy one around dinner time every week has gotten split up. I forget if I'm making this up or if I'm extrapolating this one, but it sounds like amongst the do better loop that you guys have been going through for a long time, it sounds like you're feeling the experience of him understanding your mental load significantly better. So it sounds like, along with what I didn't hear in you saying, the handoff of those like responsibilities, I didn't hear a lot of friction. So it sounds like historically that might have been a point of like, well, it's just dinner, it's whatever, and there might have been like some friction around it, but it sounds like there's a better level of understanding of that invisible labor rather than pushback on it. Am I making that up?
That sounds right. I mean, decades of it gets so old, and it's like the last thing you want to do sometimes. And you just like, that was one of the heaviest ones. When I look back, you had us list like the top 10 heaviest somethings. And that was one of them, was like, oh, here we go again. We gotta, and it used to be like someone's vegan and someone's gluten-free and and it's just like, I don't wanna.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I
Cool.
mean,
Greg.
comments. First, my analogy here that I'm going to use is the ship left the port and the ship is returned. And what I mean by that is, Mariana, we've only got 53 cards. We have no kid cards. That's all done. She did it all. That's what I mean the ship left and it came.
I want to have a funeral for them. I'm gonna lay them out on the counter and have some like ceremony.
Something, unless we keep them for grandchildren. I don't know. I don't think I want to do that, but I
Love
can't,
that.
I can't go undo that, Mariana. I mean, you're living it now. I can't go undo it. It
Yeah.
happened, you know, but I will say the big changes from my perspective is we have a new terminology in our language, which is regulate. Go
Hmm.
regulate.
Yeah.
Don't duke it out. Don't go head to head.
Yeah.
Pause.
Pause.
That's number one. Number two, I actually like cooking. I'm starting to master different dishes. So I've got a big spaghetti meatball, you know, from
Love it.
scratch that I like to do. I don't like to buy the bot sauce. I've just, you know, made another 2-day batch of this is a chicken frame soup. And that's on the oven right on the oven now. We just had some. We had some last
I'm gonna
night.
pause you. We get
Nice.
5 minutes left, and there is one other thing I want to cover.
Right. So I'm
So
gonna
keep
I'm
you
gonna
on
just
track
kind
there.
of speed it up. I think we have a lot more work to do in the vulnerability of emotion. I
Mhm.
think the emotion wheel is going to help us drag that out. I think there's
Mhm.
some deep, intimate things that are locked away that we haven't revealed. We haven't shared. We haven't cracked the nut or the wall on that yet. To complete the circle of what I'll call our full loving relationship. There's some chinks in
Mhm.
the armor. And we have to work on that. Otherwise, good. I have no problem doing the sink. I have a low tolerance for a messy counter and a sink with dishes in it. The
And
minimum standard care is that's emptied all the time and clean. So
and real quick, I think that I'm going to be putting this into the community for the other guys that are looking at joining it. Is I know a lot of guys probably have a fear of like, oh, great, a bunch of stuff's going to get dumped onto my plate, but not necessarily see the positive on that, which
right.
sounds like you're doing more domestic labor than you were 3 months ago. I could be wrong about that, or at least it's more efficient. What's the upside to doing that besides a generally increased amount of hours?
For me, I
Maybe
think,
there's not, but I assume there is.
I mean, I think it's so for me, I mean, it's a balance of giving her some time back, which I'm anxious to see how she's going to use that. Personally, I'm anxious to see her start to thrive with that free time and
Yep.
take advantage of it. She's going to do it in her own way. And I have an advantage. I'm retired, right? So not that every day is a Saturday and I have a bunch of time in my hands because I don't actually. All the other projects I have going on. I think it really provides a balance and it's real eye opener when you start to look at the amount of labor in what we would used to take for granted, right? I mean, it's kind of funny. Mariana, you went on to that, well, you know, I'm not your mother, right? How many men, friends do I have? And in-laws do I have who absolutely treat their wives like their mother? And it's like hand and foot taking care of them. It's like UTF. Anyway, so
All right. Well, Greg, thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. I appreciate all of you sharing. I'm gonna light speed go through the last two items. So one is how do we keep Fair Play relevant fresh? Mariana, I already know that you said you guys going to join the next cohort, which by the way, I am moving it over to 12 p.m. Eastern rather than 1 p.m. Eastern. So it'll be an hour earlier, same day of the week. The other thing, so what I've tried to give you guys is that weekly boring meeting and hold you accountable to it and beat the hell out of it and reflect on it a ton so that you have that as a long-term structure that you can rely on to keep going on things. I think if I were a manipulative business, I would say you need to keep coming back for coaching. That is not my intention. I want this to live far beyond your time with me. The next one that I encourage people to do is use that school community. 120 other guys in there, and then for women, I know it's not the culture isn't really there, but there's 70 something other spouses in there, and feel free to be loud in there, even though there's not too many people posting. But having that be a place where you can at least hold yourself accountable. I know the years of me trying to improve on my understanding of mental load, the internet was the place that I drop things on. Going into sharing with the internet, if I can make a content creator out of any of you, that would be super fun, but I won't count on it. And or I know that has been the greatest transformation for me because I start to develop some level of public accountability of expecting myself to improve over time. And, I can't be making the same video today that I made 3 years ago talking about how I added mental load to my life. I'm somewhat incapable of making those videos anymore because of improved. Finding a corner of the internet to share, whether it be in the school community or somewhere else, I've found to be really great. The other one is peer accountability. One of the onboarding processes I encouraged for people was to find somebody in a similar area of life to share with consistently. I know that can be really valuable for folks. And the last one I'll say is, if you guys do want to continue using me as a resource, Mariana, you talked about it and you've been on it many times, is choosing a weekly session to join. One of the office hours is that's its purpose. And if people want, again, this is probably more for other people listening, but if you want accountability and have a monthly one-on-two coaching call, I also added a financial incentive into it. So it's $5.95 a month if you want feedback on everything that you post, as well as wanting a monthly one-on-two coaching call for $5.95. $5.95 if you come every month having done your boring meetings, 3 out of the 4, I give you half of it back. So it's effectively putting 600 at risk. I'll give you 300 back if you're actually doing the work. And then the last one, and I understand you guys might need to jump, but what is a worthy commitment to unicorn space? And Lynn, I know that this is probably one of your tougher inquiries next. So for me, I know basketball is something that I want to be doing more of. I'm hoping in the very near future. I did find a group that I could play with, and it's a matter of getting there and choosing that. I love playing chess and finding people to play with. And recently I've rediscovered 5 rhythms dancing and or ecstatic dance. And I just started sort of my own meditation practice with that. I'm looking forward to sharing that with the community around me. I know for Alyssa, she's talked a lot about doing the artist way practice. She's in the inquiry of it, doing she had been and has gone back on that since becoming pregnant, but she had been doing bi-weekly artist dates. She had been leaning further into gardening. We came real close to doing some really heavy projects this year, doing some interior design. But the other one I think she will be leaning more into in the near future is fiddling and joining a recurring group of people in our community. So I will encourage for people to share out loud what is one of those things that would work for you. And the initial commitment could just be reading through Finding Your Unicorn Space, the book. Would anyone like to share what some of the unicorn spaces that they're striving towards in the near future?
I will. Well, first I did order the book. It got stuck somewhere in Pennsylvania, so they're gonna send me a new one. But I was looking at, I really like taking care of our wild birds outside, so that's one of them. Is caring for the wild birds. And then dance has always been something, so I'm looking at what kind of dance, so we'll see, but definitely reading the book first.
Maybe I can send you one of my 5 rhythms playlists that I end up making.
Okay, nice.
All right. Thank you for sharing, Lenny.
I can share. I mean, definitely dance and like ecstatic dance for sure. It's my growth edge. It's like the edge of my comfort zone, and free movement I've like started to. So, but it's always when I'm alone. Like it's never even around my kids. Like there's just shame and like fear. So that's definitely one for me. I always considered myself like not artistic and like I can't draw and I can't paint. And it's like, no, everyone can. It's that I block myself. So that being said, I'm gonna start crafting because I mean, tactile, like doing stuff with your hands is like so important, which I just don't do. That's why I also play the violin and I haven't in so long, and it helps so much because I'm like using my hands like to like move energy. And so I'm gonna start, I got a book called Crystal Craft, and it's just different ways to craft with like crystals, and it makes my little witchy heart happy.
Nice.
I'm gonna start, and yeah, I want to like the goal is to make them for my friends because my girl group were a little coven, and I think they would love them as gifts, and then hopefully see like can I start an Etsy page and have passive income. Like that's a further down goal, but that's sort of, I guess, what is materializing for my unicorn space.
One encouragement that I've somewhat discovered around unicorn space is if you do turn it into a side hustle or one, I don't think it'll be as passive income as it sounds like it would be cute to have. Two, the moment that you start introducing money into it, yeah, one, it changes it. Two, it likely will stop becoming unicorn space. So
Totally.
it sounds like you've already done some of the considering I'm inviting you to do here, but yeah.
No, and thank you so much for saying that because it has happened to me so many times. It literally, especially being ADHD, like the spontaneity goes away and I'm like, man,
Yeah.
I'm bored.
Yeah.
I'm done. It's work now. I'm done. Yeah. So totally spot on.
And
Yeah.
I'll also say that because we live in a capitalist culture, if something can be traded for money, that's the highest potential value that it can have. So
Right.
that's why we kind of by habit, by nature, actually not by nature, by nurture, end up
Right.
going towards, well, if it can be monetized, then it'll be something great.
Exactly.
And maybe unsubscribing to that intentionally is challenging, but might be worthwhile.
Yeah, that's I think exactly what happened. It's like my brain had to justify the hobby as like it's productive because I can make money down the line and it's toxic. It takes all the magic out of it. So yeah, I need to like let go of that expectation because it's an expectation. Like I can only do this if it can make money down the road. And it's like creating up out of a place of desperation and fear. And when you create something out of fear, it creates more fear. So thank you for that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Greg.
Well,
Thank you for sharing, Mariana.
you know me, it doesn't take much for me not to go off and do something, right? So I still have my cycling. I mean, that's a health thing, but it's very competitive with the guys I ride with. And then of course I got my workout space downstairs. I just got back from skiing last week and I was loaded after I got done dropping you off after a day of rest. I was loaded with energy. I went down to the gym downstairs and I was gone for like an hour and 15 minutes. And Liz says, "You came home and you just left. You went away." I said, "Yeah, well, I hit the gym," which I mean emotionally gets me jacked up, right? But it's kind of funny because Lynn and I have been talking about this. Is it something that has to give back to the community? I guess if you wanted to, it does, right? This one thing that keeps in the back of my mind is a really sweet spot for me is, being on the boat fly fishing or being on the river fly fishing, even if I don't catch anything. And recently I had a conversation with Roger Whitehead up the street, who I didn't realize is a big flyer fisherman and he ties flies. I've never tied flies before. That might be something I'll play around with a little bit. That's definitely quiet time, concentrate time.
Yeah.
Be kind of neat to get, see, have that level of that part of creativity. So the other thing too is what I find myself, I'm working Kim and Derek's bathroom, which is a huge job, but it's starting to turn the corner and it's very gratifying and it's helping them. I'm not going to get any money for it. We're going to save them a ton of money, but the gratification of completing an excellent job on a completely renovated bathroom is going to be cool.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. It's work. I've been going back and forth to their house all week.
Yeah.
Every day
I think the fly fishing sounds very unicorn spacey.
That's a sweet spot for me.
Yeah.
And the one thing I did, and I'll say that the last thing, I went bowling with the kids when we were up in Maine last weekend. For the first time, it had to be in 20 years, 10 pin. I shot a 110 and a 160, which is pretty good. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. Anyway, so yeah, I'm working it.
To make it Eve's probably best defined unicorn space, I think if you did something with fly fishing to the effect of like, I'm going to make a handful of flies and I'm going to invite a couple of friends out to go fly fishing together and everyone's going to use my flies. That's like one of the not maximalist, like that's probably one of the almost pinnacles of what it might look like to exert time and energy and something into unicorn space. This is still one of the weakest points of my fair play facilitation is unicorn space, but that's probably what it could look like that I could imagine both you enjoying and it being like a an ideal unicorn space per her definitions.
I mean, the last thing I'll say about unicorn space is you're an athlete. I've been an athlete. I know Lynn, maybe Mariana's been in that space. When you're in the zone, there's nothing like it. As Lynn would call it, the flow.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna call it here, but thank you three for sharing so much today. I really appreciate that. I'm going to offer one bonus opportunity. I'm also going to invite you guys to I sent out an email right before this to fill out a survey. You guys might have already answered it before though. I'm trying to make some of my coaching more affordable to people that can't afford me. And I would like to invite you to consider allowing me to post this as a public podcast. Your faces would not be on it. It would be audio only. Mariana, you'd probably need to ask Tim about some of the things that you shared, but I didn't think it was anything too crazy.
Right.
Probably just a couple of those names you dropped at the end, Greg. I might cut off what you had said just because you said a couple names.
Did I say names? Oh yeah, I
Um,
did. I said, yeah,
Kim, Derek, and your neighbor
Roger.
there, but not too much overall. So I'll follow up with you guys on that if that would be okay. It's also because you guys shared testimonials in there, would also be super valuable for me as well.
Yeah, very good.
I declare this a complete cohort. Sad there weren't more people that joined that had been here for most of the ride. But I'll hopefully see you guys in office hours, and I mean Greg, I'll see you plenty.
Yeah, you bet.
And Mariana, I know I'll see you in the next cohort. Great session today.
All right,
Thank you all.
Zach.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mariana. Bye.